Thanks for joining us. I'm Nancy Furness, and this is We've Got Issues. We'd like to thank the Coquitlam City Centre Library for providing space for us to do these interviews. And before we get started, I'd just like to acknowledge that we are on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded lands of Coquitlam First Nation. So thank the Coquitlam people who continue to live on these lands and to care for the lands and the waters and all that lies above and below. So today I'm joined by Hilary Letwin, who is the Manager of Cultural Services in the City of Coquitlam. And we're going to be talking about streetscape enhancements. So thank you so much for joining us today, Hilary.
Thank you, Nancy. It's such a pleasure to be here.
So can you tell us a little bit about what does the term streetscape enhancement, and I have a really hard time saying that.
It's a little bit of a tongue twister, absolutely. So the Streetscape Enhancement program is the program that was established in 2023 within the City of Coquitlam, and it is very much a sort of interdepartmental program that started originally in the Department of Engineering and Public Works, and it came about because the city has put funds in with a grant that we got from the province of British Columbia, from the Destination Development Fund, and with the combined financial pot of money, it was decided that the city would undertake some streetscape enhancements, and that is a very broad term. We have focused in really on a few different areas, and it ranges from what we're calling artful street furniture to enhanced lighting in different parts of the city, as well as murals. And the murals are sort of where our team within Cultural Services have been making the contribution, but it is very much a team effort, the Streetscape Enhancement Program. And the whole principle behind it is about beautifying our city and giving our residents a sort of exciting and beautiful place to gather or to consider the natural landscape, the urban environment, but ultimately it's all anchored around this idea of streetscapes. So it's really about those streets.
Right, and I had not heard that term before, so thank you for sharing that with us. And can you tell us a little bit about what some of the benefits are to doing these streetscape enhancements?
Absolutely.
What does it give to the community?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it has from the beginning been about building relationships between the city and our business community, for one. So we are looking to bring people to our local businesses by making areas around the businesses more inviting. Attractive, absolutely. So that's where the lighting comes in, for example. So through the last few years within this program, we've installed lights in the trees along Pinetree Way, for example, sort of in that gateway area leading up to Lafarge Lake, which of course ties in with our Lights at Lafarge program. We also are looking to illuminate other districts such as Maillardville. So we've added the tree lighting along Brunette Avenue, for example, and in Mackin Park that you can see from Brunette. And so the lighting is one example of the way in which we use this program.
I can see how that would make a space more inviting.
Absolutely.
At night, and also as the seasons change. During the winter, when it gets darker out, it kind of adds that sparkle and a little bit of magic to the area.
It makes such a difference when you're walking down the street, or even if you see it from your window, for example, or while you're driving. So I would also like to mention that there is something called SEPTED, which is essentially
safety.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Yeah, that you hit the nail on the head. And that's all about using design for the purposes of community safety. I should say that SEPTED was not sort of the guiding principle of this program, but it is sort of a nice byproduct of it. Again, well illuminated spaces, well cared for spaces, spaces that are invested in in different ways, whether through public art or other mechanisms.
People feel comfortable being there, and they'll stay there. And
that's exactly right. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's interesting. Can you give us some more examples of some of the projects that you've been working on? Lighting is one of them. Are there different types of enhancements that are going on throughout the city?
Yeah, so we've also been looking at introducing different elements of this artful street furniture. We have new benches that are going in around city center, made by different artists and different designers.
So not just benches.
Not
There's
just benches. No, they're enhanced benches. They're a little bit more decorative in nature, and again, it's all about inviting people to sit down and enjoy that space. We also, because we're looking for these business opportunities, we're really excited to be introducing some benches to the Austin Heights area, and this is very much in consultation with the businesses there and the Austin Heights Business Improvement Association. So that will be exciting, and that will be coming soon in 2025.
Oh, something to look forward to.
Absolutely.
And Coquitlam is interesting because there are so many different, like not downtown, but different sort of areas that you can, each one has its own kind of flavor a little bit. So what an interesting job you have.
I agree completely. I love my job. The neighborhoods you touched on, it's really important that we find a balance in the neighborhoods where we're doing this enhancement work. We're looking to focus it beyond just one neighborhood. We're really looking to roll it out to a few different places within the city. So Maillardville is one neighborhood, Coquitlam is another. This area, the area we call city center or downtown, and Austin Heights being a fourth. So we're looking really to cover all of the areas and look for a kind of balanced approach.
And it's interesting too because I think our cities are changing so rapidly now, densification, and maybe makes these sort of projects even more important, right? Because we have to use that space and create community despite all the changes that are happening around us. Do you have one specific project or a favorite one that stands out for any reason?
Thank you for asking. I do. I probably shouldn't have a favorite, but I do. Within the building that we're located in now, the City Center branch of the Coquitlam Public Library, we have a recently completed mural on the north wall of this building. It is a mural by a Vancouver-based artist called Carolyn Wong, and the mural is called Paperback Dream, which I think is just perfect for the exterior of a library. The mural itself shows a young girl with her eyes closed, and she's surrounded by elements of our sort of local landscape. You see mountains and trees, and you see some bears in there, of which we have many. But you also see origami fish and birds, and more realistic looking fish and birds within that mural. And I love that piece because for me, of course, these things are open for interpretation, but for me, that really embodies the idea of using one's imagination and exploring the world through reading, through books.
I was just going to say, it sounds perfect for the library, right? Because it brings that element of imagination and expanding your worlds and everything like that. So where do you come up with the ideas? Is it just looking at the space you're in, or how do you do it?
So it's very much a team effort in terms of finding locations. We are mindful also of that kind of business and community connection piece. And so it also is about working with some private owners. It's not just about working with city buildings, for example.
So like on a private business,
on
you
a
might
private
have a
business.
mural or
exactly.
bench out.
Yeah, that's the idea.
But that's kind of nice too, because it gets buy-in, and that's what creates community, right?
Yeah, and we involve the businesses in the creation of the murals. They often get to be a part of that process. Right. So it's a wonderful way for us to work in partnership. And
build those relationships.
Absolutely.
You had mentioned lights at Lafarge and some of the lighting different aspects. Does it change seasonally, or do you have ones that change seasonally? Or
The expectation is that the lighting will stay in place year round.
Okay.
So obviously we'll take into account when it gets
Daylight hours.
Exactly, exactly.
The
But
seasons.
it'll change with the seasons. But the expectation is the lights will be in place throughout the year.
Okay, that's nice, so that we get to enjoy them
Yes.
all year round.
Yes. Yes.
I have a question that I have to ask you just because I have a personal interest in the urban forest and integrating and, maintaining a healthy urban forest. Do some of the projects that you're working on, do they incorporate the urban forest? Can you work together with that?
That's a great question. We all love our parks, our city parks, and I know that my family and I spend a lot of time in our local parks here. So the idea behind the Streetscapes Enhancement program really is focusing on those streetscapes.
Mm-hmm.
However, I know that our parks team are always looking for those great ideas and the ways to enhance their space, and they work with their wonderful Park Sparks volunteer program. So we are always looking for ways to work together.
And you're right. Park Spark, Tree Spree, the Urban Forestry Department in Coquitlam, they do some wonderful work. So that's good to know. Can you talk a little bit more about the kinds of places that you look for? Are you targeting certain areas? Like you said, you work with businesses and in different parts of the city. Is there a certain type of space that you're looking for?
That's a great question. So at the most basic level, if we're looking to do a mural, we're looking for
Big blank wall
a
somewhere.
big blank wall
Okay.
somewhere.
Fair
Exactly.
enough.
And we are definitely open to invitations. So if there are
So
people watching this out there
Oh,
today
really?
who are interested in animating one of their
So
spaces.
if we have a business out there who has a blank wall that's facing into a public area, then that might be a candidate for
we would love to talk to them. Absolutely. So we have a list of pre-qualified artists, some of whom are really experienced and some of whom need the experience. So that the size of the wall, of course, impacts that a little bit
Right.
because we want to make sure.
Maybe give a smaller wall to somebody who's just getting started.
Exactly. Yeah, because as a wall gets bigger, there are concerns around lift usage, for example.
Oh, right.
So our north wall on the library here that I just mentioned required a lift that could go up quite high. It's quite a large wall. But we have other mural projects that we completed in the last few years that are smaller and a little bit more manageable. So we're not just looking for big walls, is my message here.
I do have to mention one wall that is really striking, and every time I go by it, and I've heard so many people talk about it, is the one that it faces into City Hall, and it's in a parking lot, I think.
Yes.
And it's got the blues and the greens and the fuchsia, and it's all different plants and animals, and I think it's got a Coast Salish.
Spindle Whirl. Yeah. I'd love to speak a little bit to that particular project. So that was completed by a collective of mural artists called Raven Takura. And it's made up of a group of professional artists who do amazing mural work.
That one is spectacular.
I agree completely. It's called The Ripple, and it's a really special celebration of the cycle of life and our natural flora and fauna here in
Maybe
Coquitlam.
that's
Why
appeals.
it speaks to you, perhaps. The thing I really love about that is that the artists within that collective are Indigenous, and they are using the Coast Salish forms within their design.
Oh.
So they have trigons and crescents and ovals, and they're, as you say, also including the spindle whorl, which is a traditional Salish form. And so I think that's really special. We actually had the opportunity to work with the collective a second time in this last year, in 2024. We invited them back to do a mural for our new Town Center Park Community Center.
KFN Coquitlam
And
First
exactly,
Nation was
you're
involved in doing
absolutely
some of the
right.
painting and that.
Yeah,
right?
so
Yeah.
the wonderful thing about that project is that one of the artists within the collective has family ties to Coquitlam First Nation, and we were able to invite members of the nation to come in and work with the collective together. So they collaborated on the design and the execution,
Wow.
and that was a very special opportunity for all of us to work together on that particular project. And that work is called Ancestral Legacy, and it shows the animals that we have in the area, and it has two birds. It has an eagle and a little bird, and then it has a bear and a salmon. And the bear and the salmon, if you look, they are painted again using Salish forms, the trigon and the crescent and the oval. That piece is so striking. Somebody described it recently as a really lovely idea of natural stewardship. If you look closely at the salmon, there are some eggs within the salmon that speak to future generations.
Need to go and spend a little bit of time just looking at these works of art.
They will reveal wonderful things.
And they're public and they're free, and is there some way of knowing where they are throughout the city?
That's a great question. So on the city's website, under public art, we have a section devoted to murals. So it takes one through the different murals within the city, and it has images. We're in the process actually of developing a self-guided walking tour
that would
of
be
our
wonderful.
public art.
Yeah, what a great
so
idea.
we'll be rolling those out soon. We're actually just about to introduce a Culture e-newsletter. So I would encourage people who are interested in this sort of thing to sign up for that in the very near future, and we'll be releasing details about the walking tour and potentially even the opportunity to do some guided walking tours of this material.
Like we might have to talk again.
I would be
sometime.
happy to.
Oh no, it sounds wonderful. You had talked a little bit about partners and partnering with businesses and things like that. Are there any other opportunities for partnership?
I think that we're always interested in talking to potential partners. People can contact our team directly, and all of our details are on the City of Coquitlam's webpage. We had a really special partnership in the form of United Way, British Columbia, with another mural project that we did up at the just opposite the Centennial Forum.
Okay.
So
Yes.
across from Dogwood, we
that
have
whole Poirier.
that complex there.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So United Way British Columbia approached us about doing ideal partners, about doing a mural together, and so we did a sort of youth-led mural with them, which was such a wonderful experience. So partnerships, we love them, we are open to them, we're grateful to them.
So just contact you, get in touch with
Get
you
in
and-
touch if there's a possibility. Yeah.
No, it sounds wonderful. I'm really looking forward to seeing more of this going up. I'm hoping that the program will continue. I'm really hoping.
I think that we have all come to appreciate the benefits of the work that is being done within the community.
I've heard so many positive comments just about the two that are in close proximity to us right here at the library and then across the street towards City Hall. So I just want to thank you so much for coming in and
Thank you.
sharing all that with us, and I hope that we can talk again soon.
I look forward to it. Thank you, Nancy.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for joining us. This is We've Got Issues, and we've been speaking with Hilary Letwin from the City of Coquitlam.